Section 4.3, multiplication of polynomials. So this is something that we've been doing in the past. So here's a refresher. Example 1 says multiplying monomials. Monomials, remember, monomials are single terms, combination of variables and numbers. So it says 3x squared y to the 7th times 5x cubed y. What we want to do is we're going to isolate our numerical values. So I'm going to write 3 times the 5 in parentheses. And I'm going to take the variables and put them side by side. X squared, x cubed, y to the 1st, y to the 7th. I reordered them. So now we're going to apply our rules. 3 times 5 is 15. Now remember from previous lesson, 4.1, bases are the same, so we're going to add our exponents. So it's going to be 2 plus 3 makes it a 5. The bases are the same for the y's. 1 plus 7 is 8. And there's your final answer. Example 2. And it says 5y to the 3rd times the parentheses 2y squared minus 7y plus 6. So using area models, which is basically the box method, I'm going to create a box, put a multiplication dot in the one corner on the left. I'm going to write 5y cubed right underneath it. And then I'll make a column. And then you're taking your parentheses and splitting them. So you write 2y squared, make it a column. Negative 7y, make it a column. Positive 6, its own column. And all we're going to do is apply multiplication. You can distribute. Some people don't see the distributive property, so it makes it easier to use box method. So 5 times a 2, there's my positive 10. 3 y's joined 2 more, there's 5 in total. 5 times the negative 7, there's my negative 35. 3 y's joined the 1 y, there's 4 in total. 5 times a 6 is positive 30. 3 y's joined none, I'm still 3 y's. So your final answer is going to be 10y to the 5th minus 35y to the 4th plus 30y to the 3rd. Not necessarily do you have to do the box method on problems as simple as this. It's just that when it becomes a polynomial of 3 or 4 terms times another polynomial of 3 or 4 terms, the box method actually helps out. Or with fractions, like in this example. It says negative 4a cubed b to the 7th c to the 1st times the parentheses 2a b squared c for the 4th minus 1/2 a to the 5th b. When there's a slew of variables involved or fractions, it's easier to use the box. So I am going to put multiplication dot. Negative 4a cubed b7 c to the 1st. So we see 2a to the 1st, b to the 2nd, c to the 4th. Negative 1/2, a to the 5th, b to the 1st. So we see negative 4 times a positive 2, there's my negative 8. Now, there's 3 a's in the first row, joined 1a, makes it 4 a's. 7 b's joined 2 b's, that is 9 b's. 1 c or 1 candy bar joined the 4 candy bars, there is 5 in total. Now we have a negative times a negative makes it positive. 4 times a half, half of 4 is 2. 3 a's join the 5 a's, there is 8 in total. 1b7, 7 b's join the 1b, there is 8 in total. And then the c by itself joined itself. So we have negative 8, a to the 4th, b to the 9, c to the 5th, plus 2, a to the 8, b to the 8, c to the 1st. Earlier I said that the box method will help out when you have a 2-term times a 3-term, a 2-term times a 2 terms, a 4 terms times a 5 terms, depending on what it is. It says 2x to the squared plus 4 times 3x squared minus x plus 5. Instead of you doing distributive property, the first term times the first, second, and third, then do the second term times the first, second, and third. If you put it in a nice arrow model type situation, which is the box method basically, I'm going to write 2x squared by itself positive 4 underneath it. Now I'm going to make my column. I'm going to write 3x squared by itself. Split the column. Write negative x by itself. Split the column. Write positive 5 by itself. Close your column. So now whatever left inside the open boxes is your answers. So 2 times the 3, that's 6. 2 x's join 2 more, there's 4 in total. 2 times the negative 1, because this is a negative 1 attached to that x, is negative 2. 2 x's join the 1, there's 3 in total. 2 times the 5 makes it positive 10, and the x squared slides over. Then you go to the next row. 4 times the 3, that's a positive 12. X to the squared slides down. 4 times the negative 1 is negative 4. X by itself slides down. Positive 4 times positive 5 is positive 20. Now the only place you need to verify is look for like terms. So like terms usually appear diagonally. Usually when you have a 2 by 2 or a 3 by 3, if the terms match, then yes, they appear diagonally. In this one, I see a power of 2 here and a power of 2 down here. So they are not technically diagonally, but they are in opposite rows. So those are the only pieces that are going to combine like terms. So when we look at things, 6x to the 4th is the highest powered piece, so 6x to the 4th slides out, followed by negative 2x to the 3rd. Now we see I had $10 of x squared and I gained another $12 of x squared. We have a total of 22x squared, then a minus 4x, and then a positive 20. And then your answer is done. Special case formulas. So if you see the parentheses of a plus b times the parentheses a minus b, it becomes a squared minus b squared. This is known as your difference of squares. So these are formulas that you should memorize. If you see a plus b in the parentheses power of 2, that is the same thing as saying a plus b times a plus b, which expands out to be a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, which is a perfect square trinomial sum. If you see a minus b in parentheses squared, it's a minus b times a minus b, which the pattern formula is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, which is the perfect square trinomial's difference. These are formula patterns you should memorize or have somewhere written down. Example 4 says 6c minus 7d times 6c plus 7d. When I look at the thing, negative, positive, a and b are the same position values. A and b are the same, only difference in sign. Well, when I looked at my formulas, it says it's a plus b, a minus b. A squared minus b squared, which is difference of squares. So if I wanted to use the formulas, I'm going to show you both, the formulas and the expand box method. So formulas, identify what's a, so that's 6c. Identify the b, that's 7d. So a is 6c. B is 7d. If I'm using the formula, which is a squared minus b squared, I'm writing 6 squared c squared minus 7 squared d squared. So 6 squared is 36. We get 36c squared minus 7 squared is 49. So 49d squared. There's your answer. If you don't feel comfortable using the formula, you can use the box. So you're going to do a 3 by 3. Multiplication dot, 6c, positive 7d, 6c, negative 7d. And again, we see 6 times 6, that's 36. C and c makes c squared. 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. C and D. Positive 7 and 6 is positive 42. CD. Positive 7 and negative 7 is negative 49. D squared. And notice that diagonally, positive 42 and negative 42, they cancel out. So you result in 36c squared minus 49d squared. The same answer if we did the formula of a squared minus b squared. B says 5x minus 2 in parentheses squared. Remember, this is the same thing as saying a minus b squared, which is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So I'm going to use the formula. I'm going to identify my a and b. Well, in this instance, the 5x is the a, so a is 5x. The b is just the 2, not the minus 2, just the 2. So if we're using the formula, we're going to put 5 parentheses squared, x closed squared, minus 2 times a, which is 5x, b, which is a 2, plus b, which is a 2, squared. So 5 squared is 25, x squared, minus 2 times 5 is 10, times 2 is 20 with an x, plus 2 squared, which is a 4, and there's your answer. If we look at C, on this one, it says bracket x plus y plus z, close the parentheses, close the bracket, times the bracket x minus parentheses y plus z, close the parentheses, close the bracket. Before you can do anything, I would distribute this minus sign into the parentheses, and we rewrite it as bracket x plus y plus z times bracket x minus y minus z. On this one would be something that I would not do the formula on. I would actually use the box method. So we have multiplication dot, positive x, positive y, positive z. Positive x, negative y, negative z. So it ended up being a 4 by 4. So diagonally is where our like terms are going to happen. So x times x, that's x squared. Then we have a negative xy. X and negative z is negative xz. We go to the next line. Y and x. Because y comes after x, rewrite it as plus xy. Positive and negative makes it negative y squared. Positive and negative, it's negative yz. You go to the third row, z times x. Remember, alphabetically, x comes before z, so I'm going to write positive xz. Z and negative y, alphabetically, it's going to become negative yz. Positive and negative makes it negative z squared. Remember what I said, diagonally is our like terms. So positive xy, negative xy, they cancel out. Positive xz and negative xz, they cancel out. Negative yz, negative yz, they don't cancel out. They're not opposite signs. So let's see what we have left. We have x squared, there's your first term. The next numbered row down is going to be minus y squared. Then your like terms become negative 2yz, and then your last piece, which is negative z squared. Okay, last example, example 5 says find an expression for the volume. So they gave us a sheet of paper where they basically cut out corner pieces of x values. It was originally 20 by 20, and they cut out corner pieces of x values, and they wanted you to fold it up into an open box. So the box is what we're looking at. And it says find an expression for the volume. Remember, volume of a box is always going to be length times width times height. It's back from your geometry days. So I'm going to identify my pieces. X is going to be my height. 2x minus 2, 20 minus 2x, there's one of my width values. 20 minus 2x, there's my length value. So it said find an expression for volume. So volume, I'm going to write it in terms of x because that's the variable they used, is length times width times height. So we see 20 minus 2x times 20 minus 2x times x. So here it is as parentheses. If they wanted the final answer expanded, you would use the formula. Since these two, 20 minus 2x, 20 minus 2x, is the expansion form of a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, that actually expands out to, if you're using the formula, 20 times 20 is 400. 20 times 2 is 40, double makes it 80, so I'm going to write minus 80x. And negative 2 squared makes it positive 4x squared. And then you have the x on the outside. All you have to do is distribute the negative x in. So you become 400x minus 80x squared plus 4x cubed. There's your formula for volume.